Hello and good morning, good afternoon, wherever the fuck you are. You're screwed because you're with us. Ha 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 ha. How are you all doing? Yeah, so just to say, my intro is a little bit muddled at the moment because I'm currently being kicked in the fucking ribs. So yeah, a little bit preoccupied there. But before we start anything and get into discussions and bullshit that's inevitably going to happen,
Mhm.
should you be drinking? Yes. Yes. With the
I
amount of
asked the same
kicks to
question.
the ribs, yes, I deserve a drink. Anyway, I do want to say before we start a huge, huge, huge happy Father's Day to everybody out there who is a father to be, and to all the mothers who are fathers because the real fathers aren't around for whatever reason. So, yeah, happy Father's Day, people! And fuck you, Taddy Bogle. I will kill you, you asshole. Kick
Yeah.
harder. That's not nice. That's not nice. That's just mean. Stop it. Um and actually right no, because of that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you what happened last night.
Oh God.
So reason,
Oh,
close your ears.
I
Um
am.
yeah. So I got woken up at 3 a.m. last night, which is why I kind of sound exhausted because I kind of am. Um I was woken up at 3 a.m. I had this weird dream, and I don't usually remember my dreams. But I had this really, really weird dream that like maggots were like huge, giant caterpillar style maggots were crawling around in my stomach. And I could see them moving around in my stomach. And I jumped out of my sleep for 5 minutes. I was fucking panicking. It was just baby moving around. Um, so yeah, my imagination like was playing tricks on me and it was not fun. So, and then I got another hard kick into the ribs, and I was like, fuck. But at least, it woke me up. It woke me up. Don't watch Stargate before sleep. Do you know what? I wasn't even watching anything. Like there was no reason for it. But anyway, I thought I would share that. So reason you can unbuckle your ears there now and say hello to people.
Yeah. Okay. You're all done now,
For now.
Yeah.
huh? For now. Oh, that leads
Dun
me.
dun
That fills me
dun.
with
Knowing
hope.
us, I'm fairly certain that maggots will become come back around as a topic of conversation.
Quite
Oh
possibly.
God, you guys are disgusting.
Yeah.
Don't watch Alien before
Yeah.
going into labor.
No.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Ah.
Jeez.
Yay,
Yay.
reason. How are you doing today? Because you had a power outage, didn't you? What the fuck happened
Yeah,
there?
yeah. Well, we're in the middle of the rainy season, dear, and this year it's a tough one. We're getting thunderstorms with lightning pretty much every other day at least.
Take videos
Um,
of that shit. I love a good lightning storm.
well, the next one
Same.
we get, I'll do exactly that for you. How's that?
Yes.
But yeah, I was sitting at my computer. I had OBS open. I had YouTube open. I was getting all set up and ready. I was about to go in and schedule my stream, and poof, everything went black. So I
Ouch.
called the power company and said, "How long is this going to last?" And said, "It's going to be at least after midnight before it comes back." So I had to quickly use up what mobile data I had left on my phone to go onto YouTube on my phone and post that notice and do a quick copy paste in the Discord on my phone. I have about 3 minutes of mobile data left on my phone because of it. But yeah, I was up until I'd say 1:30 in the morning, and power still hadn't come back. And then I got up this morning at 6:30, and it was back. So what do you do?
Yay. At least it's back.
Yep.
It's
Well,
back for the
yeah,
main show. It's back for the main show.
that
It's
well.
like,
Oh,
hey,
excuse me.
hey, hey.
Hey.
Sorry, I just got distracted there by Professor Phil. I was going to compliment you all on your wonderful use of language, and then And the lovely Keela opened up with a blushing expletive.
With a blushing expletive.
Yeah. Welcome to my channel, Phil. This is what I do. I can't like I'm Irish. Like
You know,
cursing is second nature to us. Half the time we don't even realize we're doing it. But yeah. I don't pretend to
I'm
be anything more than what I am.
I'm starting to get a wee bit excited because it seems that Professor Bell is planning on visiting Vietnam later this
Ooh,
Ah,
year.
that'd be
So I
awesome.
can't wait to meet him in person and spend a little quality time with one of my intellectual heroes. Um, so yeah, I'll be doing a video and just on the meeting, if you don't mind, Professor Bell. And yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting him. So if you, don't forget, Professor Bell, you send me a message when you're ready, and I'll make sure that I'm at the airport to greet you.
Yay.
is he coming for business or pleasure, or both?
I have no idea. I'm just glad he's coming. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
When it
Dora,
comes
Dora Koo is in the house. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Howdy, Dora.
Hello,
Been a minute.
Dora.
when it
My
comes
number one
to
fan.
when it comes to Phil Bell, I think business is pleasure for him. Like he
Fair enough.
really enjoys what he does, and it's amazing to see. And he's
Well,
able to hold people's attention even though I've no idea what he's saying half the time. And
yeah,
that's not because of the accent either.
yeah. Well, for me, it's because we do share some common ground as educators. So that makes it special for me, and I'm
Agreed.
really looking forward to meeting him. So,
Well,
yeah.
we do need to say hello officially to our guest.
Oh, yes,
The
of
Rob.
course.
The Rob is on the stream. Whoop whoop.
Howdy on.
Been a
Howdy
fucking
on.
while.
It has been a while.
Where have you been hiding?
Shit.
Where have you been hiding?
Uh, basically, I've just been busy as shit with work, and I don't know. I'm getting disillusioned with YouTube, both in the creation of it and the watching of it.
Understandable. Absolutely
So
understandable.
yeah, there's a particular person on YouTube who I actually rather liked for a while, and now I have just a visceral dislike for this man, to the point that I cannot watch anything that he's on.
Oh, poor
but
sleeping warrior. He thought you were friends.
no, I would rather talk to Sleeping Warrior for 10 hours,
Yeah,
10, 12 hours.
I know who you're on about, and I know why you're on about them. So yeah.
But
I've kind of gotten to that point myself. Although the reason why I haven't been around is because like my belly is getting very big, and I
yeah.
need to sleep most of the time. And like, yeah, the a lot of the one of the reasons why we started this show in the first place is because the creators start their streams at like ridiculous o'clock in the morning for us. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's why I haven't been around.
Yeah.
The constant vomiting also helps.
Well,
That tends to keep one away from your computer.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah. So I got very disillusioned. The other thing, like we've spoken about it before, Reason. The other thing is there's not a lot going on. Bump date, yes. There's not a lot going on. It's gone from discussing different conspiracy theories and theorists to nothing but Karens and fucking the First Amendment auditors and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And it's just it gets very boring very quickly for me. For me. I'm just saying for me.
Yeah. Well, not just for you.
For fuck's sake, what the hell's her name? Amber Heard, and Johnny Depp. Like, can you not stop beating that horse into the ground?
Yeah, get over
Leave
it.
the woman alone.
Get over it. Like there will be a time when I cover that, but it would be more it'll be more in the era of or idea of celebrity trials. It won't be specifically looking at that, but from someone who has been through assault and all of that. There are certain things that have been said to the likes of Amber Heard that when taken out of context, the fact is, it's obvious that she wasn't actually,
Etty,
being
hello,
abused.
Etty.
But there's a lot of things that were thrown at her that a lot of us get thrown at us. And so the problem is when you have someone of a high profile like that doing what she did, it makes it so much harder for actual victims to come out. Now, the problem that I didn't like, much like you, Rob, is that there were people jumping onto the bandwagon here for clicks and views and super chats who had no idea what the fuck they were talking about.
Nope.
And acting like they were experts in it. So yeah, that I kind of went off YouTube for a while because of that.
I was just disgusted by the fact that you have, I'm not going to comment on what was real, what wasn't, but, in the face of it, you have two people who are causing emotional and physical trauma to each other, and people are treating it as fucking entertainment. What the fuck is wrong with people? Like, why would you watch that? Why would you watch somebody's pain and torment and then make fun of it or make light of it? Like, okay, I'm better now.
Yeah, it's not entertainment. It's people's real lives, and it's not even that. It's like even in our own little communities, and I use that. I know Tusk is gonna go mad. I hate the word. I've come to hate the word communities because people don't know what the fuck community is actually about. And the abuse of those people in turning real life into drama and real life into entertainment, forgetting that there's an actual person behind that. And it can be very, very distressing to watch. So I just, like yourself, I've kind of just stepped back and just kept to the sidelines. I've done this show and I haven't been really able to do anything else because of this little bollocks.
Bundle of joy.
He has not made it easy. Let's just say. Well, I had a scan about 2 weeks ago and baby is in the right position. I was told
Good.
he might be in a hurry to get out.
Okay.
Oh,
Which means, first time mother, I might actually have the baby on time.
Okay.
That's what that meant.
Yeah.
So like my sister went over 8 days on her due date. I can't. Like right now I'm ready to get a fucking forceps and pull the
Get
fucking thing out
salad
myself. But
or at least shove in an eviction notice.
yeah.
Yeah, according to my mother, my brother and I were both very comfortable where we were, and I think we were both a month late each.
Oh no, I couldn't.
We just did not want to leave.
No, well, Irish hospitals will induce you after 8 days, 10 days
wow.
max.
Okay.
They will not, because it's seen as bad for the baby if it goes over 8 days after your due date or 10 days after your due date. So
We're
you're not
Americans. We don't
staying
care
in there
about
for
a woman's
very
health.
fucking long.
We don't care about a woman's health in this country.
God,
They
no.
can stay in there as long as it wants.
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, there's if you choose it, then that's great. Good luck to you. But I'm 6 weeks out, and I'm dying for the little fucker to be out. I don't think I could go an extra month on top of it. I'd be crying. I'd seriously be crying. No. I'd like open me up, alien style, and get the fucker out.
So, sort of a personal question, but are you planning to do the whole natural thing, or are you going to get stabbed in the spine?
I don't know yet. Okay. I haven't decided. I don't think I want to be stabbed in the spine.
Get stabbed
just because it means being stabbed in the spine. And there's other less invasive ways of killing pain.
Okay.
Gas and air, maybe. I'm thinking gas and air. And only Mammy gets it. Everyone else has to be in pain. Because I will be like breaking fingers and stuff. It's going to be fun.
All right.
Is Daddy gonna be there?
He is. He better fucking
Ooh.
be. He
Ooh.
doesn't have
He
a
helped
choice
make
in that
it.
one.
He helped make it. He might as well be there when it comes out.
Oh no, he's definitely going to be there when it comes out. I'm not doing that shit alone.
I think there's gonna be more than a baby coming out.
Epidurals are lush, apparently. Probably. But, it also means being stabbed in the spine. And I don't know if I want to
The
be
plot
stabbed in
holes
the
in the
spine.
house.
Yay, Johnny
Howdy,
O!
howdy,
Hello,
Johnny.
everyone.
When-
When is that bundle of pent-up Irish aggression coming?
I love that. I need to get something that says pent up Irish aggression. Just like on a little.
That is so cool.
That's
How
what
you
your
doing,
sister could
Johnny?
knit
Good
for
to
me.
have you.
6 weeks, the 31st. I'm due on the 31st of July. So very soon, and yet not soon enough. Where's it go to?
Yeah, my best friend's his wife went into labor, and she was all set for the whole natural birth thing, and then
Yeah, and then like the pain
happened.
set in, and it's like, get me the fuck.
Yeah, stab me in the spine. I need the epidural.
Well,
So.
yeah, you see, because you have to go in with a birthing plan and everything else, and I have no idea what any of that means, because for me, I spent 7.5 years working with goats, and when the baby came, it came.
Yeah.
And that was proper natural, and sometimes when it got stuck, hearing a goat scream, would put you off not having some sort of pain relief. So I've already been in the whole labor situation, but with goats. So I'm just like, do I really? And I'm thinking of goats. Do I really want to go through that? Really? Yeah.
Apparently.
Not never goes to plan. I know. Oh yeah, I need to do that, Johnny O. I just haven't.
You need to for lots of people.
Yeah, me too.
Because I know a lot of people want to send you stuff.
Why? I'll send his address. Mwahaha. No.
All right, well, I'll just get it from him.
That is subject to government intervention right there.
Taddy says that you've already booked the micro Stonehenge for the birthing room.
Yeah. Here's the interesting thing. You see, so if I get an epidural, I can't use the birthing pool. I want to use the birthing pool just to say I've used the birthing pool. Now you don't give birth in the pool. I do need to stress that, but it's just a way of kind of easing some of the contractions and stuff of actually being in water, and sometimes it helps apparently. So my hospital, the hospital I'm going to, have 3 birthing pools. Yes, because we're fancy. The National Maternity Hospital only has 1, but we have 3 for some fucking reason. But yeah. When it's nighttime, that's
it's not a water birth? That's no.
No. I want to drown the little fucker myself. No.
Why don't you just jump in the river and have him there?
But yeah, so I have one of the birthing pools booked, so more than likely I won't be getting an epidural. Because
Taddy says birthing pool. Won't the bikini get in the way?
No, because
slide that to the side.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that to your imagination. All this was, if men got pregnant, we'd have it after breakfast and have a nap, and then went back to lunch. Right. Well, here's
Tusk,
the
have you ever had a kidney stone? Have you ever passed a kidney stone?
No, yeah.
Because yeah.
All I have to say to Tusk is 2 words: man flu. Enough said. Could you imagine a lad giving birth when they can't even get through a simple fucking head cold without like the shakes and shivers? Fuck off. But what I was going to say, I've discussed this with people. There are doctors who are attempting, and I think we spoke about it last week. There are doctors who are attempting to put uteruses into trans women.
Yeah.
And I hope they do, because it means that a trans woman will feel like a proper biological woman, be able to carry a child and then have a cesarean. And they'll be able to have their children. That would be fucking awesome. But if that happens, I think what we should do is we should artificially inseminate Tusk with one of these wombs. I'll donate my womb. I don't care. I would love to see this. I would love to see him carry a fetus for 9 months and then give birth to it. We can slit a little hole like right under the ball sack. Sorry, Phil, I know you're not used to this kind of conversation, but for science, this would be absolutely fascinating. So I'm hoping that doctors actually do get the procedure in place and proper and working, and that would be fucking deadly.
Now I've got a picture of Tusk fully pregnant on a hobby horse.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Apparently they won't be trans anymore. They'll think, fuck this. Just kidding. Yes, just kidding. But like,
don't cancel me.
Weirdly enough, because there's a lot going on at the moment in Ireland around the trans issue. Mainly because it's Pride Month. We have the Pride Parade coming up on Saturday here in Ireland, so I'll be going to that. And Liveline, which is a radio show hosted by a dinosaur, a real life dinosaur, Joe Duffy. Go look him up; it's amazing. He had like 2 or 3 discussions recently about the trans issue and the new maternity guidelines, the legislation around maternity services is removing the word woman and mother from, which is in there like 93 times. It's fucking ridiculous. So they're removing the term mother and woman from the official legislation and putting in person who is pregnant, which just makes fucking sense.
Sure.
Because if you don't identify as a female or as a woman or as a mother, then and like non-binary trans men who haven't completed the transition, they need support in pregnancy if they choose to continue with the pregnancy. It's that simple. And there's been a huge uproar recently that anyone who agrees with this is taking away from a woman's womanhood. No. That's not what's happening, folks. That's not what's happening. What's happening is that vulnerable people in pregnancy are being protected by the law, which should happen. So yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about trans issues recently in Ireland, which it's good that we're having the discussion, but the way in which it's been conducted is fucking ridiculous.
Well, if they get to that stage, the goalpost is going to be moved to, well, they don't menstruate. So they don't have the full experience of being a woman. It just seems to me that it strikes me as, since you have not gone through the same pain as us, then you are not us. And I find that mentality to be
yeah, it's ridiculous because being a woman, being anything in society is a societal term. It's a socially acceptable term that changes as society changes. Enjoy your potatoes, plot hole. Johnny O, that was awesome. Cause yay, Father's Day. Hey, potatoes to roast. Hell fucking yes.
Later, Johnny.
But yeah, so it's a spectrum. Whether it's the social spectrum, which is gender, or whether it's the biological spectrum, which is sex, and either one is a spectrum. You don't have the same thing. Like, my experiences as a woman is not going to be the same as another person, another woman's perspective or experience as a woman. Yes, we have certain characteristics and stuff that happen to us socially that groups us in and has a shared identity, but they are very fluid. A rich woman is not going to have the same experience as a poor woman. You know, it's just fucking ridiculous. Pat Kenny is even worse. Well, Pat Kenny can be worse. He can be. He's softened a lot over the last couple of years. Joe Duffy is just a cunt.
He's got nice abs, from what I'm looking at. So, if we're talking about a mixed martial artist.
No, we're not talking about a fucking mixed martial artist. We're talking about a radio host who's a dinosaur and doesn't have good abs. But
radio. No,
he does not. It's a frustrating thing to see, but to the extent, that the official Pride Parade have discontinued their support and their partnership with RTE, which is the national broadcaster. Like, that's got a sting for RTE.
Yeah, I don't know. Given the amount of advertisers who have dropped off of Fox News, and considering it's still very much a thing, I'm not surprised anymore about far right assholes being able to support themselves and spreading their information.
Yeah. It's just mental. It's ridiculous. But so those kinds of issues have been okay. Left me a message in Discord. Thank you, Phil. It's great that it's being spoken about. That's the main thing. Yeah. So Professor Phil just sent me a picture of his beautiful grandson, who's 8 months old, and yay! Happy Father's Day again.
Yeah,
that's enjoy your day. If you get a chance to spend with your family, then absolutely fucking take it. Like, I'm going over to my mom, and my mom has been my mom and dad for my entire life, so yay! And my sister does the same job for her children.
Just look at those cheeks, though. I just want to pinch them. I don't want to let them go.
But so but what I was saying is, I would love to see the doctors actually be successful in the surgery, in order to transplant a proper donated womb into a trans woman, for the simple reason, if they want to have children, if they want to be parents, then they should be permitted. And for us humans, and this gets to the whole heart of the situation, we have overcome a lot of our purely biological station, because we use cars, boats, and planes. We use we live in a house, which is not necessarily fucking found in the wild. We take antibiotics in order to protect us from viruses. So we have overcome a lot of the purely biological issues that our species has faced. Why can't we overcome an issue of sex and gender? It's getting easier the more we actually invest into it. So hopefully, in which case, I would fully support the idea of Tusk having a womb.
I think the only way that that's going to happen, well, not Tusk getting a womb, but I think the only way that's going to happen is if, as with everything else, it gets normalized. Once it happens, and assuming the right don't freak the fuck out and actually start legislating against it, if this procedure is good or is viable and continues onward, then hopefully it will become mainstream and people won't think too much about it.
There's a message for a reason from Clive Wells.
Yeah, and I have a message back. Too bad we're not on camera.
I still love that song so much. It's ridiculous. My nephew recently did his confirmation, and he had this little party afterwards and it's mainly for the party that you wanted it. But when everyone else had gone, there was like 6 or 7 of them left, and they got up onto the little stage and started a round of that,
Nice.
just so I could record and send it to Reason. And I still haven't sent it to you, actually.
And you can keep it too.
No, I have to.
No,
I'll
no,
have
no.
to share it. I have to
Share the
it.
joy.
Absolutely, I have to find it now, but I'll have to share it.
I mean, these folks are doing this for you, Reason.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can't deny the children.
people loves us you.
Yes, I can. I do it every day for a living.
Oh, those poor children. They needs the baby shark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a the right freaks out if there's a change in M&M advertising. I remember there was a few years ago there was, I think it was 2016, 2017, 2018, there was a Gillette ad that came
Oh yeah,
out.
yeah.
I don't know if you remember the Gillette ad that caused fucking ructions by basically just saying, men, pull each other up and don't be dicks.
Yep. I
Like,
I don't even really remember the ad. I remember the ridiculous reaction to it because was hearing all this sort of shit about the ad, and then I watched it. I'm like, am I watching the right ad? Because I don't see this.
yeah.
So
And it was literally just like, we have a duty to call each other out when we're being dicks.
mm.
And for some reason that was absolutely OTT, let's cancel Gillette. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm more likely to support Gillette if they're actually coming out and saying, yeah, we done fucked up sometimes. Let's hold each other accountable. Because women do that all the time. Not all women. Not all women.
Yeah, it's
I'm thinking about some some individuals, let's say, that don't call each other out and actually protect each other, even when certain individuals are lying about stuff like cancer. But yeah, so
maybe.
that happened. But
Nice.
for the most part, the idea of having an advert to say, we live in a society, we have a duty to call each other out. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, it's essentially saying that being a dick is not inherent to being masculine. That means.
I'm calling you out for being a dick. That's okay, Tusk. I know jealousy is a thing. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Do you want me to say that you're a bigger dick than I am? Because you're not. You try to be.
Are we getting into a dick measuring contest?
Yeah, we are.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
I love Tusk. He's grand. He's grand.
Oh, we all love Tusk. So does
Although annoying the
Eddie.
fuck out of him even more, but like, who doesn't?
True.
Hashtag no dragons for Tusk. But yeah, so that's what's been happening here. It's absolutely mental.
Yeah. Well, in this country, things are just going worse and worse, and worse. And I don't know. I am very, very scared of 2023 because I'm pretty sure Ukraine will be completely fucked at that point because the United States will not allow Biden to provide any sort of aid. And then once the U.S. drops out, Germany will drop out, and then everybody else will drop out. So, and that's just the foreign policy part of things. Yeah. Why? We have I don't know how much of the political landscape that his people on the other side of the pond pay attention to, but in Georgia, we have a guy running for Senate on the Republican side by the name of Herschel Walker. He was a running back That's it. He was a professional. He was a Heisman Trophy winning running back, and he was a professional running back in the NFL. And that's basically his claim to fame. And he has a more than decent shot at becoming the next senator for Georgia. The fact that I live in a country where that's even fucking remotely possible upsets me to no end. The man thinks that had said that you can kill COVID with misters, like walking through an archway with misting disinfectant on you.
Oof.
So not quite injecting bleach, but very, very close. So,
But like they're all going. Some of them go on this idea that if Arnold Schwarzenegger can get elected, so can I.
yeah, he was far more the exception than the rule.
I loved the I think it was the 2018 Golden Gloves. I can't remember, but like one of them that Ricky Gervais was holding or hosting, he was like, "Don't tell anyone what to think. You're not in any position to be making any social cause accusations or call outs. You're rich people. Like, get the fuck over yourselves." That was good to see.
A little hypocritical coming from Mr. Gervais, but I understand what he's going.
I mean, he's a comedian. He is a
Yeah.
comedian. He knows where he stands on the issues. Like, he knows where he stands on most things. Do you know what I mean? He knows his standing in society. He's socially aware of that. He rips the piss out of himself for that. But there are people who come out and mouth off about this, that, and the other that they have no business mouthing off about, like the idea of fucking running in elections and guns and taking bleach instead of vaccines and shit like that. So
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
it happens. It happens.
True. So I'm trying to think of something positive to. Oh, here we go. So I
Positive?
have a new
What's
life
that?
goal. I have a new life goal. Granted, it is not something I'm putting a huge priority
Go on.
but I am determined to get blocked by Elon Musk on Twitter.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I spend at least once a day trolling him on Twitter.
You need to be doing more than that.
Yeah, I've
There's
thought
like
about
professional trolls just for Elon Musk, like.
but I'm thinking I have to balance that out with the people who actually follow me because I don't want them to think that I'm just some kind of obsessed madman going after Elon Musk, like I'm some sort of weird crazy guy in my basement. So I need to very much balance my attacks on him while keeping a certain amount of respectability, assuming I even have any of that. But yeah, Elon Musk is a moron.
Yeah, respectability is overrated. To be honest.
Yeah.
And there goes my mic. Get the fuck.
So that's been giving me a little bit of joy. Is trolling.
That is fun.
On
That is fun. I've been trolling people too, but like in real life, which is fun. Again, it's fun for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dislike Twitter as a platform. So do I, E-Man. I can't stand Twitter. It's
Twitter's a cesspool.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like I had one when I started up the channel, and then just like
shit happened.
Yeah, shit happened, and I've been off Twitter ever since, pretty much. I don't miss it. I can't say I miss it. I can't say I would. Then even with that. Oh, what? What happened?
Oh no, sorry. Just a member chat from Mr. Nimrod.
Yeah,
where?
Kind of tying that back into Elon Musk. One of the more recent Elon posts that Elon has made, he makes the claim that news media is almost always negative and almost always wrong. So therefore, that is why Twitter needs to exist. For, I guess, correct information and positivity. The man has lost his sense of reality.
Sorry, it didn't turn up on my on StreamYard because StreamYard is shit. But yeah, Dr. Nimrod has been a member for 2 months.
2 months.
Thank you, Nimrod. God love him.
Well, if you really got a hate on for Elon Musk, I'm sure you follow Thunderfoot.
Oh, Thunderfoot is deadly.
No, I know of Thunderfoot, and I've watched a couple of his vids.
Bunks the shit out of anything that comes out of Elon's mouth. But there's another guy that I'm subscribed to, Adam something. I think he's from the Ukraine. And he does videos on stuff that Elon does. He just rips the shit, but he runs the numbers. And he points out just how fucking stupid his ideas are.
Yeah. Too fucking right. We have a super chat. So
Ooh.
Mr. E-Man for really?
Yeah, really.
Really.
For
Say it.
333. For 333. Just because it's what I always do. It is what you always do, in fairness. Like, I still don't understand the fascination. I genuinely don't. But people seem to have a fascination with how I say tree.
It won't get old.
It's just like people have a fascination with this infantile marine mammal.
I was just going to say, it doesn't get old. Very much like Baby Shark.
Which one are you talking about there, Reason?
No.
I seem to forget this juvenile. What's this you're talking about?
Juvenile marine animal.
Which juvenile marine animal are we discussing right now?
The one that annoys the fuck out of me. You know,
and which one is that? Because they all seem to annoy the fuck out of you. You'll have to be a little bit more specific.
No. Ask Clive.
I tried, Clive. I tried.
Oh man.
Is it okay to ask?
I'll be honest. I really applaud the advancements and the accomplishments of SpaceX as a company. And yes. I really applaud the idea of wanting to put people on Mars. But the reality is it's not going to happen.
It will eventually. In like 500 years.
In maybe 1,000 years when we learn to terraform the planet so we don't have to bring our friggin' entire means of survival with us.
Well, I can go on that for a while. I think that that Mars colonization is more likely, or going to happen earlier than that. But essentially, the plan that Musk has is not viable. He's just jumping the baby shark in order to just get to Mars without actually having a cohesive plan to actually get people to Mars and have them not die.
Very subtle there, Rob. Very subtle.
Thank you.
There is a question for you from Professor Bell. And he's saying, is it okay to ask, Rob, how come so many Americans are against universal health care, particularly as it relates to mental health?
That is, yes, it is certainly okay to ask me that.
Now, it's a good fucking question. I wish we could answer it.
It is a very good question. Now, let's see. There's a standard answer, which is that Republicans don't give a shit about anyone else's health but their own. And I think there is a certain element to that. Then you have more moderate Republicans and Democrats who the main issue is universal health care is nice in theory, but how are we actually going to pay for it? And I don't think the Democrats have really come up with a viable way to do it. Certainly not a viable way that's going to get any of the Republicans on board.
No. But you also have to weigh up the fact that, especially in America, it's been free market capital since the 70s, 80s. So the move to free market capital has meant that the idea for a whole set of generations, it's not just one generation, you're talking about from the 60s, 70s right through, is the idea that you pay your own way. And everyone has the ability or has the freedom, I suppose, to attempt to have a good life. Now, obviously, it's stacked against you. The odds are stacked against you, and you're never going to get on the upper rungs of the ladder. But up until the 60s, because of the post-war boom, yes, you'd think I've studied this for 6 years. Up until the 60s, 70s, when things started to change after the post-war boom, the idea was that capitalism works, that it was helping, and that you just had to follow the rules and you'd eventually get to where you wanted to go. We know that's bullshit, sadly. And we've known that's bullshit for a very fucking long time. So when in the post war era, you had all of Europe, or the majority of Europe, moving to social healthcare, and socializing a lot of very, very important industries, whether that be rail, and obviously they lost a lot of them after, like in the next 20 years.
Yeah.
But America never did that. One of the reasons why America never did that was, one, they could never agree, two, because it was too big, and three, because the financial burden was just so big that the only people that were able to provide the infrastructure needed was the extremely wealthy, which again would be supportive of the Republicans. The Republicans at the time were so desperate to keep or to get power. Think of the watershed moments in the 70s and 80s, that they were terrified to actually go against industry. Even Kennedy was afraid to actually put it up to a lot of the very extremely wealthy Americans. That's a known fact. People think of Kennedy as a very, very liberal-minded person, but he was actually quite conservative in reality, because
At
he
least
needed the
compared
support
to
of the Republicans, and he needed the support because at the time, you have to remember, there was very real chance of going to nuclear war with Russia. So he needed to keep the supremely wealthy, not just in America, but the people who were feeding into America, the international banks, on the side of the Americans instead of going to the side of the Russians. So there's a lot of, so you have a system where healthcare, universal healthcare and free healthcare has never been a thing. Then what are they to draw off of except for, other states which are significantly smaller, and significantly less complicated in their management of government? It's so a lot of people then think, okay, well, maybe it's not possible. Maybe it's possible in other places, but it's not possible here because of the vastness of America, of the United States.
Yeah, there are a number of conceptions. I don't know if they're misconceptions. I would lean towards misconceptions, but there are a lot of worries that people have with universal health care. The main one being it's going to be too costly to society as a whole because of taxation and whatnot. Wait times are going to be ridiculous. And more importantly to them is the idea that because we are a capitalistic society and because there is a tremendous amount of money to be made, being a doctor, being in the pharmaceutical industry, that we are drawing the cream of the crop, like the most intelligent doctors, the most intelligent researchers. And if we go to universal healthcare, we will not be able to pay these folks nearly as much, and they'll leave. So
yeah, I mean, even here, like we have one of the lowest, and I'll get to your point now in a second, Phil, because it is significant what you're talking about, and maybe we should definitely do an Eye on Society more on this as well.
Oh, absolutely.
But
sure.
yeah, more of the sociology has to come out. But yeah, so here we have a system where corporation tax is 12.5%. The issue with that is the majority of companies only pay about between 0.5 and 2% of tax,
Yep.
of corporation tax.
Yep.
And if we were to, the calls have been to introduce the Tobin tax, which is a financial transaction tax. So what happens is in Ireland, a lot of money comes into Ireland, into the IFSC, and is immediately sent out of the country throughout Europe. It's like a money laundering business. And in most countries in the world, when money filters through your country, you have a financial transaction tax for the luxury of using your systems. We don't have that. And any move towards trying to introduce that is always met with, but they'll leave.
Mhm.
No, they fucking won't, because there's nowhere else to go. But when you talk about life in Australia, to an extent, Phil, the overriding philosophy of protecting life is there in Australia, is there in the UK, is there in Germany to an extent. Because you have to remember the majority of doctors, the majority of the population of Australia is on one side of the border, is on one little slice of land that is going up and down the country, and then there's little pockets like Perth over the other side. But what happens in the middle? There's no one. There are people living there, and in order to get healthcare, they have to travel 3-4 hours in order to get to a major city, in order to get a proper hospital or a proper doctor. So by all means, it's not there's no system in the world that is perfect. I hate to say it. Yes, you can live or die depending on how much money you have, if you are within reach of a doctor. And there are people, especially in the northwest of Australia, where they can't get doctors to. Or they're finding it very difficult to get doctors to. And the nomad clans in Australia too. So yes, there's the philosophy, but philosophy is one thing, practice is a different thing. So when you're talking about free healthcare or access to universal healthcare or access to healthcare itself, there are always the overriding tensions between urban and rural. Yes, you have the ability, if you're able to pay in America, but in Australia, yes, you have the ability if you have the means to travel to a doctor. It's the same in Ireland. We have a 2-tier healthcare system. We have the private, we have the public. The public one is pretty fucking good because we've made sure of it. Now, they're chipping back on it all the time. But, for instance, one of the last things that I was involved in West Cork before I left was we have the right to access maternity services as pregnant people here in Ireland. We have the right to access them for free. We have a system set up where we have maternity wards throughout the country. And one of the things that I was involved in West Cork was keeping trying to reopen the maternity hospital, because what happened in West Cork was a hospital that serves over 80,000 people had this brand new maternity ward given to us and then immediately shut down, which automatically in Cork City then puts pressure on the maternity services in Cork City, because you're dealing with an extra, let's say, 30 to 40,000 people. You know, one of the last things, as I said, was trying to keep the A&E open down in West Cork. And thankfully, we won. But that was one of the last things I was involved in before I moved out of West Cork. So yeah, we have the right to access it if you have the ability to travel in order to reach it. And that's part of the problem too. Nothing is just in an isolated bubble. The big issue for America is they have access to it. They don't have the right to avail of it free free of service, free of charge.
Well, there's another issue that I don't think is well spoken about, and this also ties into the gun control argument. Is that Americans as a society are deeply ingrained in Calvinist views. Even, I would say, even Democrats, even your most liberal Democrats, still have this view of, if you have wealth, that means you are a better person. And so what this translates to is, and I think Sable Eagle or someone was saying that in the chat, is if you have this wealth, if you have this success, then you are a better person than someone else, and that other person does not have the right to access the same things you have.
Yeah.
Because they are not as worth as much as you are. So there is a ingrained culture that we really need to address if any of these problems are going to be solved in any way. And I think that's the primary reason why universal healthcare is not going to work in this country for a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, it could work, but it will require all of the states' agreement, and it will require overarching and local coordination, which we can't really do in fucking Ireland or the UK. So I mean, trying to get it throughout the entire the vastness of, like, even Canada, as big as Canada is, again, there's only certain places in Canada that's very extremely highly populated.
Yeah.
The rest are ice sheets. Like, so you're talking about a huge undertaking in order, and then, as you said, it's the ideology that people have been grown up with, that healthcare is something that you earn through your income. Now, a lot of us, well, I know in this country, I pay for healthcare through taxes, and if you're going to be paying very high taxes, then why shouldn't you get certain services for free, like infrastructure, public transport, healthcare, childcare, education?
Sure, but why should I pay more taxes to support someone
It's
who
the
loafs around?
individualism. It's the individualism that's the problem. It's that mentality of individualistic capitalism. It's a huge issue.
And class judgment.
Yes,
People
big time.
literally see poor people as lower people.
So
and
people
they're not going to spend money to help them.
People are asking about the goat. There is no.
I'm trying to jump in there to do that, but
no.
Tusk, I found the goat before we started, so if you can't find it, I don't know.
The issue with playing Spot the Goat this week is that I am now like 33 weeks pregnant, and I'm getting really, really exhausted and have a lot to fucking do before baby arrives. So it's not guaranteed, even if we do Spot the Goat, I hate to say it, that there's going to be another Flipside before I give birth, because I'm already like seriously depleted of any kind of energy.
I am very honored that you had this one, if that is the case.
So I just want to make that clear. Like, if there is a Spot the Goat this week, then that's great. But I just want to make it clear, I can't, and I said this last week, I cannot commit to any more to any stream, because I don't know what I'm going to be like day to day. Like, the lads will tell you before we came on air, and even now, I do sound exhausted.
Yeah.
Because I am. Partly because I was woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning with fucking
maggots.
Yeah. But I can't guarantee that there will be another Flipside before I give birth.
All right. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna run Spot the Goat or skip it this week?
What do people want to do? I'm always mean to you, Tusk. What are you talking about?
Play anymore.
You could run it, and then just with the caveat that was just said, that you may not come back, or you may not be on the show for a while
until
I just have to take care of myself, lads.
Yeah, no, we understand that.
You know, but again, I would like to
Is your
have a
main-
guest. I would like to have a guest on our first one back, but I
He was
just
so
I
selfish.
right
All
now
right.
I can't commit because I don't know what I'm going to be like next week or the week after or
All
the
right.
week after. And I don't know what it's going to be like, whether baby is going to be fucking have itself after it's born. So I can't commit to anything right now. And that's
Okay.
just
I
the
think we
truth.
got the picture. Okay, so
I'm only here for the
let's
ghosts and
run it.
cocaine. Woohoo! Busy spread 5.
Let's run it, and whoever
Okay.
wins, they can be on when you come back.
Okay.
And there you go, folks. Spot that goat.
This is where I get a break and Reason has to do everything. Go.
Like what?
Yeah. I
I'm
don't know.
too
You're a
busy
fucking
watching.
host too.
Yeah, I know, but what the hell? I mean,
Well,
Yeah, what the hell?
I can address the second part of Dr. Phil's
Yes.
question. And if you've been paying attention to my channel, I have been ranting more about mental health lately than I should be talking about astronomy. But in terms of
by all
mental
means.
health,
Hang on. I want to pull you on that. Fuck that. It's your channel. You talk about what's important to you. If you need to fucking talk about your mental health, you talk about your mental health and fuck anyone that does not like it.
yeah, I
I
I
will
want
say
to
that
be.
right now.
I appreciate that. I want to be primarily a science communicator and a mental health advocate, sort of secondary to it. And I feel at this point the pendulum has swung too far to one side than the other.
all right.
What did he say?
Alrighty, there we go.
It's a fallacy to think that someone is down and our poor. They don't have society. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, Phil.
Yeah.
In terms of
Sable.
mental health, the quality of mental health in this country, I don't know. In terms of universal health care, I think there is no real separation. I don't think there is there are factions that say, yes, we should have universal health care for physical ailments and then, fuck the deranged. But the problem I have with the whole thing, and interestingly enough, I was actually going to go about a rant about this, is that if you are involuntarily committed, you get to pay for the privilege.
Yeah.
They will send you. I have been billed in one stay $2,000 for about a week's stay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to be there, and you're going to make me pay $2,000 to do that. Thank you very much. So yeah, that needs to change. The other problem that we have in this country is that for the last 20 years, the federal government has not been able to. This is more the gun control side of it, but the federal government has not been able to actually fund any research into gun violence, and that is emblematic, I think, of the entire problem. Is that with the new bill that is being talked about, they're like, yes, we're going to expand our mental health facilities, yada yada. That's great. I'm all for that. But that's basically putting a band-aid on a sucking chest wound. We do not have the funding, we do not have the focus on why these elements exist, why do these disorders exist, and how can we actually treat them better or even possibly cure them. So that, I think, is the major stumbling block that people have in this country in terms of mental health, is that they have no idea what it is. And they think throwing money at the problem is going to just basically fix it.
Well, it's not even that they're throwing money at the problem. They're throwing money in the wrong places.
Yes.
That's
exactly.
That's a huge part of the problem. And again, that's not unique to the US. I can speak for over here, and for us, they have taken away a lot of the funding for early childhood and teenage supports. So then you have a situation where, um, as I said, like I've spoken about this before, my nephew has Asperger's, and it took him what 9.5 years, 10 years to get his diagnosis. Um, and that's because there was not enough psychologists in employment of the state. And so there was a huge backlog of children waiting to be assessed for autism, mental health issues, and behavioral issues, so
Mhm.
that they could put the supports in place. So maybe they already have the supports, but if you only have like 2 or 3 doctors for the entire country doing the assessments, then it's going to cause backlog, and it's going to mean that children going into their teenage years and their early adult years are not being supported in the way that they should, which exponentially is going to make the fucking mental health problems worse.
Yeah.
And I speak from actual experience on that. I have bipolar. I was not diagnosed with that until my 20s.
Mhm.
So I went through my entire, from the age of 8, I started actively trying to commit suicide at the age of 8 years old. And I didn't understand why. I just couldn't feel happy. And right through my teenage years, I had huge swathes of being actively suicidal, not just being depressed, but being actively suicidal, where it was all I was thinking about,
Mhm.
to the point where I had a noose in my school bag, which terrified my mother when she found out. But I was walking around every single day saying, just give me one reason not to do it. And that's how desperate I was becoming. And there was no services there because I didn't have a diagnosis, because there was no person there to actually assess me. So that's the other side of things. It's actually getting in and getting the proper clinical uh, diagnoses if there is clinical depression there. And mental health services is a big important thing.
Mhm.
Um, 3 years
My
Ed has
suicidal
been waiting.
thoughts started around 13.
Yeah, 3 years
But
Ed has been waiting on results.
well, tied to that, one of the problems I had, and again, this is where I think money needs to be put into research, is that I am very disappointed in the basically. I have been diagnosed with bipolar, with major depression disorder, with borderline. No one seems to be able to agree as to what my actual diagnosis is. They all recognize what the symptoms are, but what the actual disease is, they don't seem to have a consensus, and that bothers me because when I go to the doctor, they're not going. I don't want to go to one doctor and say, "Oh, you have angina." You have another
Mm-hmm.
doctor says, "Oh no, you have cardiac, you have heart disease," and then another one says you have cardiac failure. Like I don't find that in the physical realm. In the mental
No.
health realm, I have found that there are just inconsistent diagnoses, and
Mm-hmm.
there is basically consensus.
Yeah, exactly. And well, one of the reasons is because a lot of these issues, a lot of these categorizations, I should say, and one of the things that I actually respect about the American system is that they don't actually categorize individual autistic traits. They
Mm,
just say it's an autistic spectrum. But the drawback to that then is that the individual traits are not sufficiently, as you said, investigated and studied. It just says I waited for 18 months for a place in a group therapy course. That ended in October 2021, and I'm still waiting for word of the next course. The service is good, but it takes too long. And this is the
yes.
point I'm making. The services might be fucking fantastic, but if they're not available in any real sense to the people that desperately need them, because they haven't been assessed or because they haven't been categorized into a certain section of who best to help them, then you can throw all the money in the world at the service itself. But if you don't have the initial assessments to say, yes, this person needs to be with this form of therapy, then you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
You're going to still see huge waiting lines, and people are just going to lose hope in the system.
I haven't ever seen wait times that fucking long, which is just criminal, literally criminal in my opinion. But the quality of healthcare, the quality of mental health care in this country varies wildly depending on where you are.
Absolutely.
Both the benefits that the insurance will give you, and also just the availability of care, the quality of the therapist or the psychiatrist you come into contact with. And it's really like Louisiana was a shithole. Atlanta, of all places, actually had the best healthcare, mental health care system that I've ever experienced. So, yes, I agree with you in that it doesn't matter how well the system is, if you cannot get access to it, then it doesn't really help you.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of issues there that it would take more than just myself and Rob discussing to actually solve.
Definitely more than 15
Yeah,
minutes.
because well, you know, doctors, both medical and theoretical, have been discussing this for years. Sociologists have been discussing this for fucking decades, which is where a lot of my information would come from. Is reading kind of sociology papers.
Mhm.
Because it's interesting to see what sociologists will actually focus in on per decade, uh, as opposed to a medical doctor.
Mhm.
You know, those kinds of, because what I love about sociology is, yes, it looks at the individual, like tiny little scope of individual crises and individual issues, but then it'll, you know, pull back and look at the system as a whole, and say, okay, what is influencing this? Because you can't have an issue in isolation. Not in society. You can't have one issue in isolation. Different things feed off different things and impact in different ways. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to study sociology, is because you get the micro understanding of society, but then you get the macro as well.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what they train you on. Whereas the likes of wait, no, the goat is not kicking me in the ribs, Nimrod, but right now, baby is, and I'm about to fucking
Are you
punch him. No, I'm
sure it's
not.
a baby?
Oh,
I
I
don't
had this
know.
discussion. I had this discussion the other day. Like, if it's not a baby, I'll be like seriously considering what the fuck dad's DNA is like. But oh fucking hell. He is making it difficult, and this is the problem, because a lot of the time I'm able to go like an hour without being obviously uncomfortable,
Mhm.
but it's getting harder because he's getting bigger, and it's just like a big foot in my ribs.
Anyways, we do have a winner. It's a
We do.
Sable Eagle.
Yay!
So, Sable, when Crafty is back, I guess you'll be on with us. And there she be. There's the vote.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
I definitely need more conversations like this. I love these kind of conversations. These are the kind
Sure.
of conversations I've had for the last 10 years. Like,
so there you go, Sable. You're next on the list.
Some people were mentioning, well, of course, flat Earth, and you know, I have a cosmology course that I'm revamping for fall. Basically, it's a qualitative foundation of cosmological thought. And the thing that struck me is I'm reading through the Greek to Renaissance era, and particularly with Aristotle, and I'm reading through Aristotle's reasoning, and I'd say 40 or 80% of it is flat Earth logic. But the only difference is that Aristotle knew back in the 300 BC or what have you that the Earth was a ball. But everything else, like everything he came up with, flat Earth has been echoing. So my question now is, why don't? Where did that come from? Where did the? Because they're using Aristotelian thought for the most part, if you can call it thought. Anyway, but they start off from a different worldview, like a drastically different worldview that the Earth is flat rather than a globe. And I would be very curious, or I am very curious to know where the hell that came from.
Well, a lot of it has to do with the methods that they were using at the time. You can be if an incredible fucking theorist, but if you only have certain tools to do the job, in practice, it's going to be very limited. So that's one of I think that's one of the issues.
Well, with Aristotle, it was, and with natural philosophers at the time, I can never get these two straight. I think it's deductive reasoning, and which
Aristotle is all
flyers.
Aristotle was always fucking high anyway. So
Well, they start off with where deductive reasoning. I think it is. You start off with a worldview, and then you work your way down from the first principles of the worldview to explaining specific phenomenon. Whereas in modern science, we take the inductive view, where we explain small phenomenon and then see if there's a commonality, which will then build into a larger worldview. So they're using the same sorts of logic, but their starting worldview is different. And that's the question that I'm curious about from maybe a sociological point of view.
that would
Is
be more for philosophers. I'm gonna be
oh,
honest with you, like, and I have a limited. I do have quite in-depth understanding of philosophy, but my interest in philosophy is very fucking limited. I'm not even gonna. I'm a very practical person. If you haven't already noticed, like, but I mean, it doesn't. It's not beyond the realms of possibility. And one of the things that Newton used to do was he also started from what can I observe or what can I philosophize about beyond just what I can absolutely see,
yeah,
and what
he
makes
was a
sense then from what absolutely could be to what I'm observing. So that's not beyond the realms of possibility. Just different people. Again, it comes back to mental health. It comes back to how minds work. Different minds work in different ways. And when, especially with Aristotle is a very interesting personality in general, but he was always one of these people, although he wasn't from his writing and from the writing about him, he was jaded at the society around him.
yeah.
He didn't view many people as his equals. Let's just put it that way. But neither did he look down on anyone for not agreeing with him. I mean, he'd insult them just to wind them up. But it was more to get a reaction, to get a political, or not a political, a philosophical debate going, where he didn't feel there was a philosophical debate being had. He was concerned that for his peers of his day, and you have to remember a lot of these ancient writers were writing not for the coming generations. They were literally writing for their peers.
Yeah, they were having
Um,
dialogues with each other,
yeah,
essentially.
and what's great about Aristotle is, and much like Newton as well, he didn't really, although he engaged his peers, he didn't see them as equal. In which case, yes, he would take their ideas on board, but then he would rubbish them just as quickly. And
Yeah,
it's very interesting to read not the Aristotle papers that we know, or the books that we know that he wrote, the big ones. But the
mhm.
little letters and notes that he was sending to his peers is fucking hysterical.
Yeah. I think it's Newton, and I always get this wrong. I think it's Hoyle, his basically his arch rival at the British, what is it, the British Science. I can't remember the name of that either. The hoity-toity place where Brits get to be scientists. Those papers where they're basically sniping back and forth at each other over optics, over the meaning of
Yeah.
what light is. Yes, those are fantastic.
I mean, that's where you really get to know what they actually taught. Because when they were writing more for publication, it was, they were under strict rules. They were under strict observation from local government at the time. So they were more placated in what they would actually say in writings for publication. Whereas those little notes and those letters really you really understand where their ideas are coming from. Yeah, not just the personalities, but where they're coming from. That's what I find interesting. It's not that you have this idea, it's how you developed it and why. So that would be my kind of take on philosophy when I'm analyzing or when I'm reading philosophy. It's really trying to understand, but where did this idea come from and how did it develop? Because there's layers, layers to people, and it's when you read the publications, they don't really explain much of that. Whereas when you read the letters, you kind of understand where an argument or where a field of thought began.
All right, hold on. I'm responding to Clive. Yes, I agree.
If you're an asshole, no, I'm joking.
But as it is coming to time, I do want to say though, if you want to feel, if your life is going great and you're having a really lovely time of things, I would highly recommend reading The Handmaid's Tale and Marcus Aurelius's Meditations at the exact same time, because
And I would fully recommend watching a really, really interesting take on philosophy. It's called The Philosopher's Song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Philosopher's Song.
Yeah,
We're talking about Monty Python?
I was getting a Python joke in there.
Okay.
You knew I was getting a Python joke in there somewhere. That has to be like, it's a weird thing because a lot of it, well, for certain philosophers, yeah, they were fucking high all the time. They were drunk. It was the only way of killing the boredom. And so yeah. So I thoroughly recommend watching The Philosopher's Song after this stream just for the crack, because sure, why not? Rob, thank you very much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
And if anyone has not subscribed to Rob Parks, go do it now.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating. And we need, to be honest with you, I think we need more channels like yours. I really do.
I agree.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So you got anything in the works you want to tell us about before we go?
A whole lot of brain crack. The main series that I would really like to start and be consistent on is Astronomy as Science, where I take seminal works and, of course, works of my own, and break it down into the actual scientific method. Talk about, all right, these are the observations that preceded it. This is the question that the researcher had in mind. This is the experiment or sense of observations that they designed, and this is the result that they had and their conclusions. Because, and obviously there's the whole flat Earth part of it. But as an astronomer, or as a professor, one of the things, or the primary goal for us, is to teach our students critical thinking, and I use astronomy as the example to do that. And I don't feel that I've been true enough to that commitment in my classes. And so I think that if I start off with it or concentrate more on those videos, then I can come up with better ideas on how I can incorporate that into the classroom.
Fucking dead.
Cool. Awesome. And how about you, Crafty? Is it safe to say that the Flipside is going on a 6-week hiatus as of today.
Yeah,
do
at least until I know, first of all, because as I said, I don't know what I'm going to be like week to week. Voodoo Inquisitor, I think, missed the fact that I am 7.5 months pregnant. That's a thing. That's a thing right now. And can you stop kicking my ribs, you little bollocks?
No.
It's not fun. I can assure you. It's a very, very big challenge that I'm going through right now. The struggle is real. Um, but yeah, I can't say for certain when the next Flipside is going to be or the next live stream. And even with that, in the run up to giving birth, in the run up to, or in the aftermath of the birth, yes, I will do a stream, and yes, I will introduce Bratto in some form or another. But I don't know how many live streams I'm going to be able to do because I don't know what the temperament of Brat is going to be. If Brat is good, then yes, I can do live streams. But if Brat is screaming and crying and yelling every time I go live, then it'll be more created content. So that's the plan for the next little while. Wait the fucking see. And I really, really hate that wait and see moments. I just want it to be done. So, but
Yeah.
You could always go like a Irish demon sort of route and actually live stream the birth
that's not going to
to
happen.
get the clicks.
That's not going to happen. There are certain things I'm willing to do for the people who support me. That is definitely not one of them.
All right. Well, I guess the only thing folks can do is just...
Whoa. I just copped what you said there. Who the fuck live streamed the birth? What?
No, I'm just, it's more of a critique of Irish Demon's character in that he live streams everything. So
No.
I would not be surprised that if he had a child, he would live stream the birth. So, for the clips.
Check out Irish Demon's live stream from Friday. No thanks. Baby's gonna be a great flirt debunker. Hopefully. Yeah, just bollocks. Every third word is gonna be fuck off and bollocks. Yeah. Never mentioned baby king. Clive, if I have to suffer, so do you. You should know this well by now.
Make him suffer. Make him suffer.
So, Reason, I hear that you have a great deal of material that you want to put out, but there's someone dragging their feet on.
Yeah, Tatty. God damn it.
So
Tatty is my producer for a lot of the live streaming, and yeah, it's his fault. We'll blame him because it's always his fault.
Get it sorted. I'm sure we'll get it sorted. But the first 2 episodes of Series 5 are in the can, ready to go, and just waiting on some things to do to get episode 3 and 4 done in the next week and a half.
Woo.
And I'd like to have at least up to episode 6 in the can and ready to go before the end of the month, so I can make the grand debut of Series 5 in July, on the 1st of July, actually. So, yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
Well, it's there in plain black and white, people. Rob's channel. If you haven't subscribed, go the fuck now. Yep. I order you because we're out of here. Have fun, lads. Enjoy the weekend. What's left of it.
Watch this space for future Flipsides. They'll be intermittent, I'm sure, but if we can, we will. And I'll see you again on my stream on next week. Sorry about this week. Power failure. Nothing I could do. So,
and to all the fathers, have a good day.
All right.
Happy Father's Day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.